Hey everybody, thanks for joining me. I'm photographer and cinematographer Drew Geraci. Today we're talking about a brand new filter that Kase just released, and it is this beauty right here. It's a variable graduated ND filter, and if you think about it, it's like, wait a second, how are you merging both graduated filters and a neutral density filter together? That's a variable from 2 to 6 stops in the same package, and honestly, they've done a pretty damn good job at it. Here it is right here. As you can see, I'll put it right in front of this so you can see. But it does a really nice job of going from 2 to 6 stops so that we get a nice graduated ND filter approach. But you can see that it does a really nice job of just blocking out the whole filter as well as the graduated part at the same time. So if you are a landscape photographer and you're out on the shoot and you, let's just say, you use a lot of these, which I use these 4x5s a lot, especially with one of these filter holders. You just pop them in there and you're able to stack 2 or 3 of these together to kind of get the neutral density that you want of a graduated filter. But now they've combined all of this into one simple little screw-on package, and it fits really nicely onto anything that's an 82mm thread, and you can also get the step-down rings that go down to the 77, 68, and so forth and so forth. And Kase has done a really nice job of putting those all together. It has a dial on the side here, and it allows you to go from fully open, which it looks like this, and then you can close it all the way down to 6 stops. And if you're using this out in broad daylight, if you have it at the full 6-stop range, you can drag your shutter or create a long shutter speed of anywhere between, I would say, half a second to almost a full second, depending on how much cloud cover you have. If it's a super cloudy day, or you're at the beach and there's, the sun's blocked, you can pull probably anywhere between 1 second to maybe even 2 seconds, depending on just how cloudy it is. And it's really, really beautiful. I took this out and did some tests on it. I did some time-lapse work with it, and I thought that the results were really, really beautiful. I don't typically use screw-on filters, mainly just because it's kind of a pain in the ass to screw them on to the camera all the time. And I did have an issue or two with this one. There was a small dent at the very base of the screw, and I actually had to machine it out because I couldn't get it onto my my lens. But at the same time, after I was able to fix it, it worked really, really well with my 16-35 G Master lens. And even at 16mm wide open, I didn't get any kind of vignetting off of this, and it really worked quite well for what it is. And I thought that, in a scene where you have a lot of high exposure in the sky, where the bright clouds are reflecting the sun, and maybe in the foreground, it's a little duller because you're in the shade or the shadows of different trees and whatnot, this does a great job of mitigating that by creating a really nice balance where you have that top area as being, ND'd out, and then that bottom area having more light to bring in. And it really creates a really nice balance without having to go into Lightroom or Capture One to do any of the kind of post-production work that you would need to do to vary that out. And this also helps you quite a bit if you want to, drag your shutter, create longer shutter speed, or if you have any kind of lighting that you really want to just diminish just because it's so bright. So it's a really nice filter. I think if you're looking at it from a return on investment standpoint, I actually haven't seen these for sale in the United States. I've only seen them for sale over in Europe and Asia. So if and when they do come to the United States, I think this is definitely a must-have and a must-buy, because basically what you're doing is you're taking this filter here and you're replacing all of these filters. You've got all your graduated filters, you've got your 4x5 NDs, and you've got your whole filter system as well. So you're basically taking everything that I have over here and combining it into just one simple circular graduated variable ND. And it's really nice. Now, there are a few things to this filter that I think could use some improvement on. One of them being is that it doesn't have hard stops on it. And if you push the lever all the way down, you can't really tell if you're going 1 stop, 2 stop, or 3 stops over, because it's not really engineered to really show you what stop you're at. So I think it'd be great if there were hard stops added to this, so just a nice little D-click every time you went down, knowing that you're doing either a quarter or a third stop down, depending on how far you go down. And I think that'd be really beneficial, especially for what I do in time-lapse photography, because utilizing this, doing a day to night transition, makes it so much easier, because if your camera is underexposing or overexposing, that you can just open it up a little bit or close it down, and it doesn't affect the shutter speed or the aperture. You're just affecting the filter itself. And I think that's really brilliant. And I did use this on a time lapse, and I think it worked out really, really well. and I'll probably be using this a lot more in the field in the near future, which I think is fantastic. The next thing that I think could use improvement upon too is that once you get all the way up to the fully open part, if you actually keep pressing forward, it's going to start to move the graduated filter. And if you look where I'm at right now, it's actually like moving left and right, so you can actually see where the graduated pattern is moving and changing. And that's great if you want to be out in the field and you want to adjust it so that the dark part of the graduated filter is on the top and then the openness is on the bottom, or vice versa. And it's really nice because you can just move it any direction you want. The downside is if you are using the ND part where you're doing a variable ND, it is going to either open, close, and then move that at the same time. So it'd be great if there was some kind of mechanism that prevented it from moving until you wanted it to move. But at the same time, this is a very, I'll say, not inexpensive filter. I believe it's about $150 US, maybe a little more. And it would be a great feature to have, though. But I did take this out. I used it on a couple different projects, and I was really blown away by just the before and after of how this actually impacted the scene. And I think if you are a landscape photographer or cinematographer, this is a valuable, valuable filter to have. And while Kase did send this to me to try out, I definitely would have paid the $150 for this, because this is something that I can find myself using on every production. So big kudos to Kase for that. Otherwise, it's a really well built filter. It's very solid. It doesn't have that much of a color casting to it. If you do go all the way down to the 6 stops though, you will notice a little bit of a teal cyan in your post-production, but it really doesn't affect it too much. You can also compensate for that inside the camera if you want to when you have this attached, and it really comes out looking super clean, super clear with no actual color cast or hue on it. So another great job from Kase for that. Anyway, if you guys have any questions about these filters or other filters, when it comes to time-lapse photography or shooting video, let me know down below in the comments. I would love to find out what you're using and maybe use them myself. But if you do have any questions, leave them down below. And if you like what you saw, please like, subscribe, and as always, happy shooting, everybody. Thanks for joining me. Have a great day.